sensations who have worked many, many years in the business. The song is called In the Dark. Here is Mr. Billy Squier. Gentlemen. Billy Squier.
Everybody, have you heard of the game again? Yeah, the strokes the word. I don't take no rhythm, I don't take no style. You got a thirst for killing, live your life. Give a handshake, wait for me. I'm about to pray.
read an interview with you somewhere where you said that you were surprised to be in the top 10. Why were you surprised? I mean, you certainly have confidence.
Well, I wasn't trying to be self-depreciating. I just, I don't think that when you start out doing this, it's very wise to set those kind of goals because you kind of leave yourself open to be disappointed. If you put out a product and say, well, I expect this will be a platinum record or top 10 record, then if it isn't, even if it's close, you may suffer for it. So for me, I was very proud of the record, and I knew that it was going to do for me much more than any of my previous efforts, but I didn't want to come out and start thinking in such
You were also quoted as saying that the album that came out during the summertime, In the Dark,
The album's called Don't Say No,
all right,
and In the Dark is from that.
That if this album didn't do something, you were considering possibly switching careers.
Yeah, I was thinking about maybe being a talk show host.
There are a lot of openings on after we go off the air, you know. But had you really thought about chucking it in? Or Stevie it in?
I've said it before, and I think that...
and you'll say it again, right?
Well, I hope not. I hope that that's passed. But, I mean, you go through a lot of frustrating times and a lot of lean years. I think that we all go through, as you mentioned before. And I felt so strongly about this record, as I said, that if it had not met with at least a certain modicum of success, I don't think I would have known what to do. That's what I meant, that I felt so good about it in relation to me. And as a,
you ever think about how long you can do rock and roll?
I don't think about it as much as other people. I mean, I get asked that a lot, and I tend to think you can do it as long as you feel good about it. I mean, the best example of the Stones. I mean, 40-year-old men, the #1 record. You know, I mean, you can do it as long as you want. You can get. I don't know how long I can because my life could change.
I think that something happens after a while. Now, the Stones, you say, are 40-year-old men.
Well, not all of them. I don't want to...
All right, but there are some guys on there who are entering the second half, as they politely say in television.
Aging very gracefully.
Yes, yes, moving slowly up the conveyor belt to the final Gestaponation, right. Death, after all, is nature's way of telling one to slow down, isn't it? Yeah. But the week that Bill Haley died, we had the Comets in here. And something didn't fit when I saw guys that are really gray doing Rock Around the Clock. I mean, the music was great and their attitude was super and they were great, but I said to myself, a generation is passing us by here. Something's changing before our eyes, and I wonder if we really know that it's changing.
It's difficult, I think, for any of to put your finger on that in a general term such as that. I think some things do get passed by, and I don't think all of us can go on forever, say, as the Stones would do or a band like The Who, but I think as long as the feeling exists, I don't think age really becomes a factor. If you really look at it historically, most of the acts who are popular nowadays are much older. And when I was growing up, most of the bands which I idolized were very close to my age. I mean, if I was 15 years old, they were 20, 21. Most of the bands now are my age or older. I'm 31. And most, in the top 20, even the top 50, most of the acts are older. So it must therefore follow that the age is not a factor in and by itself. Okay.
You and I would both agree that Pat Benatar is not exactly chopped liver. You know, top talent, top star. And she appeared here in New York.
I promised her I wouldn't talk about any of our private life.
You were the opening act.
Yes.
And one of the newspapers here gave you raves, and they were rather unkind to Miss Benatar. Do you ever have any embarrassment when that sort of thing happens? I know it's a sensitive area, but...
no, I mean, I take it as a compliment to myself, and I think that when you're in a position such as she is in, people start gunning for you. I mean, when you get to the top, there's only one way to go, in spite of anything you do. It's very hard to stay there, and I've noticed that even in my own brief but illustrious career, that, I mean, when we were in England, for instance, well, I had never had any success in England at all. And the press was very, very kind to me. They loved me. They wrote great reviews and about how sincere I was, and you know, the heart of rock and roll. I went back. We played this big festival there in August called the Reading Festival, which is one of the traditional. It's been there for 20 years, and it's one of just the traditional great festival. And we played it, and we went over a storm. We were the special guest. I got 3 encores. Went over a storm. The next day, the paper slandered me ruthlessly. And it was just a complete turnabout. So I think in case, it doesn't mean it happens all the time, but when you get to that level, you become a little bit more suspect, or people are, you know, they view you in a little bit harsher light. So And I think for someone like Pat, who's very intelligent and certainly been around quite a bit, I don't think that she was particularly bothered by that.
Good.
I don't think it changed her life.
Good. Now, this next number is called The Stroke, and it's from the album which is called, because I have a wrong notation here, Don't Say No?
That's right.
Don't Say No. So if I can take this away from you, you can take yourself away from here.
Are we ready?
Yes, we are. Would you please welcome back with the first hit single, top 10 record called The Stroke, Billy Squier.
Everybody, have you heard how they dance the game? Yeah, the Strokes the word.
Well, the man himself, Mr. Billy Squier. First of all, congratulations on the Don't Say No album and The Stroke.
Thanks
It's going
very
so well in Australia, and of course it's doing extremely well. It did extremely well in America. But you've just come from well, you're in the middle of a tour, and you've come out here for 4 days, and you've just been touring with Foreigner, who we just saw before. Yeah. How can you do that? I mean, just 4 days out here and back in the middle of a tour.
Well, why not? You've got to keep out of trouble, don't we?
Relax or something like that. All right, now listen, with The Stroke, a lot of people have been saying, here it is, the heavy metal resurgence. And, I mean, do you like the being labelled as heavy metal?
Well, it's a little misleading. I think there's a certain heaviosity to what I do, but I think that in general the scope of my music is a little bit broader than that term would imply.
Right. Well, with this album, I mean, I don't think Don't Say No you'd say was a heavy metal album.
No, I wouldn't.
Now, you co-produced that. You wrote all the songs, performed, and you co-produced it. Do you like producing?
I do. I have a tendency to kind of meddle in all of my affairs, anything that surrounds what I do. I think that as an artist, it's very important to take responsibility for your destiny, if you can.
Now, you produced this album with a guy called Mac, who did the Queen album.
That's right.
Are you critical of your own work? I mean, it seems odd that you go in there and sort of...
I think, well, you can, I mean, that's one reason I have Mac, is to have someone with an outside perspective. But as you go along, you're able, I find, to develop a certain objectivity towards what you do, and you can step outside yourself.
Okay, now going back to the heavy metal resurgence, in America, is it obvious that it's sort of, you know, it's becoming all, not all heavy metal, but there's that sort of thing like there is in England, where it's suddenly...
No, I think America probably is actually maybe softening up a little bit, whereas in Britain they're really getting over the top. And
did any heavy metal bands influence you at all?
Well, I think to an extent, someone, let's say like Led Zeppelin, for instance, who I don't think were really a heavy metal band, but would have probably be thrown in as maybe the Godfathers. So I certainly listened to bands of that
Well, look,
genre.
it's a great single, and if you haven't heard this album, go out and have a listen to it, because it's an excellent album. And I must ask you, when are you going to come out here? You're coming out on a promotional tour. When are you coming out?
Well, we'd like to be back next year.
Right.
We could.
Might as well bring Foreigner back with you as well.
We might do that.
Yeah, great double. Listen, thanks for coming on the show. Thanks for coming out to Australia.
Thanks for having me.
And I can't wait to see you. I'm going to America, so I'll try to catch up with you.
Oh, you'll see us there then?
All right, let's go out with The Stroke. Thanks.
Welcome to Profiles in Rock. Doug Pringle's guest this week is Billy Squier.
Unfortunately, no matter how good you try to be, or how honest and straightforward you try to be, someone is always going to be let down by what you do. Rock and roll can be used as a vehicle to promote its winning.
Could be a winner, boy, I knew quite well. You got your number down.
Stay tuned for the words and music of Billy Squier, next on Profiles in Rock.
I would say that I have some awareness of how I can fit into the scheme of things in that sense, but no, I don't write my songs for the radio, if that's what you mean. I don't write hit records. I mean, I don't write songs to be hits. If I write a song which I think might be a hit, or that might be particularly geared for a certain format, then I may try to tailor it, to fit more exactly into that particular niche. But no, it's not calculated in that sense. I mean, you can do it. Whether or not it's a success is meant, something else. Yeah, there are people who run around saying, you know, this band sounds like Foreigner, or we're going to do something that sounds like so-and-so. You can try to do that, but whether or not you will translate it successfully remains to be seen. Because what most of the bands who are successful have is, in one way or another, they have something which is unique. You know, since I mentioned Foreigner, I mean, Foreigner's got Lou Gramm. There's a voice that cannot
be
matched, you know. And there's also the sensibility. I think I have that too. I mean, I think this is what people have led me to believe. But I have a unique sound. I mean, people now tell me, you know, that in the corporate circles, that people are going around trying to find Billy Squier. So trying to find, or people make records and they say, I want to sound like Billy. Okay. Now, I don't know. I can't tell you what that is.
What is unique about Billy Squier's music?
We intend to sound quite live, ambient, if you will. We try to create a state of wide range of dynamics, which is quite difficult. I mean, it took me a long time to kind of master that. And
you had on your first album.
Well, I think it's becoming better, especially as you'll hear, like in the drums, things like that, where it really sounds like a very sort of awesome, overpowering effect.
Do you think you're a great guitar player?
No, not particularly.
Great songwriter?
Not bad.
Great singer?
Pretty good, yeah. Pretty good.
So a good all-round.
And I think that's my strength. I mean, if anything, is that I'm well-rounded, if you will. I know I'm not. I wouldn't hang my hat on any one of those things in particular, but I think that I equip myself well on all fronts, and also it gives me a good perspective of myself. I'm not, say, so much dependent on other people to make my way. I can take an idea and I can see it through from start to finish, virtually. I don't mean to say it might sound a little bit too egotistical, as I don't really mean I can do it without anybody, but I can create the idea and I can pretty much steer.
You know how the whole thing should sound?
I know how it should sound, yeah, and because I'm involved in the production of the records and things, I can pretty much oversee it through all the stages.
What was the very first record you remember hearing on the radio?
Well, I don't know what the first record was, but I remember the first time I heard the Beatles on the radio, which was sort of a significant step. I mean, I know I'd listened to the radio before, but I can't honestly say I remember the first thing I ever heard, but I remember before the Beatles, when the first released I Want to Hold Your Hand Here, and in fact, before it was released, they had this special broadcast where they were going to play it once, you know. It was like a week before they were playing Ed Sullivan or something like this, and I remember going over to my friend's house and sitting up in his room, which is like up in the top floor, like in this attic with this little radio, you know, and hearing the song and thinking it was the worst piece of rubbish I'd ever heard in my life. And then, of course, about a week later, I was totally into it. When I got the record and sort of gave it a few more listens and a chance and figured out kind of what was going on.
What were you listening to prior to hearing the Beatles?
I can't remember. I remember having you know, the Dick Clark show, when he used to have, he still does an American Bandstand, yeah. Well, I remember that the same friend of mine and I, when I was about 8 years old or so, 8 or 9 years old, used to do a simulated American Bandstand in my garage. We'd take a big sort of cardboard box, and cut it in half, stand it up on end, and we'd make like a little, you know, he had that platform there where he would stand. And we have, in those days, there weren't anything like stereo systems. There were just, you know, little phonographs come in the box. That was all. One speaker, everything was in a little case. We'd set that up on this box, and we'd take turns. One of us would be Dick Clark, and one of us would be the artist, and we'd go out and we'd mime the song.
When did you decide to be a musician and not Dick Clark?
Well, I don't think I ever wanted to really be Dick Clark. In all due respect. Although I hope I'm as well preserved when I'm his age. When was the first time? Let's see. Well, I took up guitar, I wouldn't say seriously, but sort of semi-seriously, when a friend of mine went to England for the summer, and he came back with this record. It was the first Blues Breakers album, which had Eric Clapton on guitar. And he said, "You got to hear this." You know, it's one of those things. And I said, "Okay," put it on. And I never heard anybody play guitar like that. And it was like a whole new world opening up, and that really affected me and influenced me very much as far as being a guitar player. And that's when I started sitting down, copying riffs off the albums and things like that. And I sort of became more fanatical after that, you know, as far as furthering my musical education.
Say the wrongs on the wall.
you think you'd be successful?
Yeah.
And what's the best thing about the success you've achieved?
The money.
No.
No.
That's not so
I did
far
think.
out.
I did think I would. I did. I shouldn't say it. I shouldn't be that cocky and say that I thought that I would be. I always thought I could be. You know, I never felt that there was any reason I couldn't be a success. It was never a foregone conclusion to me that I would be a success. That's ludicrous. But I always felt that I could if I
And now,
persevered.
and now, whoa! And now that you're sitting here with the kind of success that you have, is the money seriously the thing that you enjoy most about your success? Do you enjoy being rich?
Oh yeah. No, I mean, of course. It's great. But what it does, it gives you. It doesn't buy you happiness. It gives you freedom.
What's been the highest point in your professional life?
I did a festival called the Reading Festival, which
Yeah.
was quite prestigious. It has been for many years, which was a personal high point for me because when I was growing up, I always used to read about that, and a lot of bands whom I admired and were sort of idols of mine at the time played there. And it was sort of neat for me to stand on the stage and realize that I had become part of sort of, my history.
What's been the lowest point for you professionally?
At the last demo I made for Capitol, I had told myself that if it didn't work out, that I would quit.
Really?
Because I didn't know where I would go. I mean, it was at that point where I put so much into this, and I had, tried to learn my lessons and, make the most of my mistakes and with everything that was going on around me. And I really didn't know what I would do if this tape were passed by, because I just felt it was the best thing I could do. Unfortunately, it wasn't. Fortunately, they picked up on it, and
Right before
I
that,
had to look back since.
right before that moment that they picked up on the tape, what was your opinion of the men that made the decisions to record label, whose job it is to find and sign the new talent, the A&R guys?
All of us on the artistic side tend to think of those people somewhat dubiously, because none of us, I guess, like to feel that one or two people should have control over our careers, and possibly something which they don't know that much about. And we tend to think sometimes there might be a bit of a breakdown between what a person in that position would actually know. I mean, how much he could put himself into what we do. But by and large, there are a few good ones, and those are the ones that we try to work with the same way that they would try to seek us out.
How has rock music changed since the days of the Beatles and the Stones and the British invasion?
I don't think it's really would be easy, or maybe not even possible, to ever put rock and roll into a stereotyped, into, you know, a little box. Say this is what it is, and now it is changed into this. I mean, there's so many things that go on. You say, ask 10 different people what rock and roll is, and they'll give you 10 different bands, won't they?
Okay, but
You know what I'm saying? I mean, I can't. I'm not trying to be evasive, but
Okay,
I can't say what it.
okay, does rock have something in common? I mean, a good rock record should do certain things. Do you think?
Well, yeah. I mean, a lot of it, I guess. And then again, I mean, there's differences there. I mean, a lot of it is gives you a sense of freedom, escape, that sort of thing.
Do you think that rock and politics mix?
If you take an incident like Kent State and, you know, Crosby, Stills and Nash writing Ohio, I think that was fairly good, you know, commentary from the youth side.
John Lennon's work.
It can, you know, it can mix. Yeah, I don't think. I mean, music is communication, and it can be used for causes. It wouldn't be part of the formula, but rock and roll can be used as a vehicle to promote just about anything.
Does success change relationships with friends?
I don't think real friends change. I mean, people who really know me, think regard me any differently. I think that a lot of people who would consider themselves to be your friends, or who would, you know, in one sense want to know you, would claim that they know you to be close to, would be the same people who would then turn around and sort of just talk behind your back. I mean, I feel, as I said, the people who are close to me they're still there, and that doesn't change. And the people who do change, to be quite honest, I don't care. I can't. I mean, that's the thing. You can only do so much. You do the best you can, and unfortunately, no matter how good you try to be, or how honest and straightforward you try to be, someone is always going to be let down by what you do, or feel let down, and they're always going to go out and slander you. So I mean, it's basically, it's unavoidable. So you have to accept it.
Do you have a thick skin?
Oh yeah. As I say, I mean, I don't care when people. You know, I'm always hearing dirt about me.
People writing stuff in the press, it doesn't.
Yeah, or
doesn't
just,
bother
you know, just, yeah, no, you can't. As I said, it's going to happen.
Now everybody, have you heard? If you're in the game, well, then the stroke's the word. Don't take no rhythm, don't take no style. Got a thirst for killing, break your body. Woo! Right hand out, give a firm handshake. Talk to me about that one big break. Spread your ear pollution, both far and wide. Keep your contributions by your side. Strong man, strong man. Could be a winner, boy, and do quite well. Strong man, strong man. Strong man, strong man. You got your number down. Strong man, strong man. Say you're a winner, man, just sit it down. Put out, keep it all in place. Work your way right into my face. First you try to bend me, you make my backbone slide. But when you find you blend me, keep on, man, keep on. Give me the business all night long. You stuck together, boy. Say you're a winner.
there was one thing in your life you could change, what would it be?
Well, you won't like this answer, but I don't think I'd change anything.
Billy? Nice to see you
We
again.
meet again.
Yeah. Looking at the chart of the United States, there are more, well, I don't care how people call them, hard rock, or harder sounds, like, of course, yourself, and like some of the more heavy metal groups like Def Leppard, band. How do you feel?
We're just on tour with us in the States. Yes, we
Oh, yeah?
we took them out for about 6 weeks.
Oh, how'd you like them?
I thought they were great. And I was very pleased that we were able to have them with us. The show was very, very good. And they're a very young band, and they're very extremely prolific for their age. And it was very exciting, very exciting to them. We had a lot of fun. We played a lot on stage together. Came out and really had a good time. Really became buddies.
Oh, yeah. I mean, after concert parties and everything.
Yeah, but during the shows, we went out and played. I went on stage with them a few times, and they come out, and we really got along very well. And it's exciting because they're doing so well now. It's just, that's one of the old guard now. It's fun for me to see the newer bands come up and do so well.
Well, you must have worked with a lot of bands, a lot of artists.
I have, yeah. I have over the years, and a lot of good ones. I was very fortunate. So the caliber of people, such as Queen and Foreigner, but they were the ones who helped break me in the States. When I was starting out.
The Stones too, didn't you?
We never played with the Stones. We played with the Who.
Who, right?
Played with the Who a few times.
Right.
We helped break the Who in America.
Okay, for the next lineup, we have Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers.
Oh, yeah.
I like them.
I like Tom. And Tom and I think, actually kind of broke into the scene about the same time. He was a little bit more successful, but at an earlier time. But we started. We each released records simultaneously. He had, with the Heartbreakers, and myself and my last band, Piper. We kind of started out at the same time, and he, I think, had a little bit better idea what he was doing a little sooner, so he got a head start on me, and I got caught up a bit. But I've always liked them. They're very good.
Yeah, it's we're going into Change of Heart, the ladies. Could you go into camera one and introduce your friend?
Yes, sure. I'd be very pleased. I think this is more of a live type video as opposed to the concert video. So let's have a look.
So she kept me from having my back turned to the audience, from not putting something in my mouth, because you can't sing, you can't talk, you can't do all the things at once that you can do if you're playing a guitar. So that's how I got to the guitar.
Yeah, that actually leads me to something else, which is when you, I think at one point, correct me if I'm wrong, you made somewhat of a conscious decision to develop a style and something distinctive of your own under the Les Paul name. Is that right?
That's my mother, yeah. My mother came to me in 1945, 46, and I was with the Andrews sisters. In walks my mother. My mother with her commercial ear says, "Lester, I heard you on the radio last night." I said, "I wasn't on the radio last night." She said, "Well, someone was. It sounded like you." So I said, "Well, it wasn't me." And she said, "Well, you're pretty good," but she says, "That just goes to show you, you all sound alike. As soon as you plug that hose in, all the guitars sound alike." So she says, all these electric guitars, they get the same amplifiers, and they, she says, very hard to tell the difference. She says, you ought to be different. So I went to the Andrews sisters and says, I'm leaving. Well, anyway, my mother put it in my head, and I went back to Hollywood. And I locked myself in there for 2 years. From 1946 to 1948, I did nothing but pick on that guitar. And then I was into phasing. Now I'm in the phase shift, okay? Now I found sound on sound. Now I found the multiple dubbing. I found the half speed. And I'm going crazy with this thing. W.C. Fields had come in the backyard to make his album. He said, you sound like an octopus. And I put on my console as OCT. And everybody that comes and looks at my console says, what does that mean, OCT? And I said, it means octopus. It comes from a friend of mine, okay? But my mother is the one that got me going on the new sound. Most of our audience here are youngsters that don't remember Les Paul, Mary Ford. But, well, there's a few of you guys, okay? I'm surprised. Anyway, many years ago, Mary and I started out making some multiple recordings, and in the effort of doing this, I struck on the idea, besides inventing the multiple tape machine, the solid body guitar, all this garbage, I came up with an idea. And I said, how can I do this on the stage so that you get the same sound that you get on the records? Because it's, you know, it's overdub. You understand what I'm saying, lady? Yeah, no. And so what happened is I got the bright idea and I invented, this is my invention right here, this little black box. Yeah. Don't you wish you could take it home with you? Well, with my little black box here, I can take my guitar and multiply it into an orchestra. Billy Squier is worried sick over my little black box. Now, I'd like to show you how it works. I'm going to start with one guitar and multiply it into an orchestra, and then I can do with those guys, you know, out. Here's how it goes. Now I'm going to play that back for you, okay? Well, that's not bad, right? Now I had a bass part. Now watch. That's two parts, okay? Now worry the drummer. That's three parts, okay? Now I put them all together and it sounds like this. Turn the monitor up.
rock and roll tonight coming up with Billy Squier.
Rocking the night, walking on air, gonna find me some trouble, gonna grab my share. I want you tonight, I want you with me, make me guilty of love from the first degree. Yeah. We're going in style, say walk right, you talk right, your hair's so wild. Hey, that's not what I mean. We go down in the shadows and crawl between. Moonlight in the city, brings a vision to your eyes. Freeze in the moment, leave me paralyzed. Breathe in emotion, say dancing in my ear.
You can talk to whoever you want to talk to, Billy. It's okay. You can talk to America right here, as a matter of fact.
Right here, we're on.
Might be wondering who I'm talking to. Not myself. Billy Squier is in the studio with us tonight on this Monday, and he said that the Smithereens actually were his favorite band, so we played that video, Behind the Wall of Sleep.
They were tonight, yes.
Yeah, they were.
At the moment. The band of the moment.
And it changes with you from time to time, I guess. Well, Enough is Enough is the new album. We, of course, have the new video, which we'll be playing a little bit later on tonight. And
not too much later, I hope.
Well, not too much. In the time that you're here, we'll be playing it, don't worry. And you'll be here for a while, because we have some good snacks over there on the table. You can check them out.
It is about that time, isn't it?
The rumors going around that the title Enough is Enough had some meaning. You know, you were plain tired of being in the studio.
What do you mean by that?
No double entendre.
No, it's true. Actually, we spent quite a long time making this record. Probably could have recorded 2 or 3 records in the space that we devoted to this particular one. And towards the end of it, I was sitting at home one night. I was in London recording, and I actually was going over some sort of arrangement for the umpteenth time, and I just said, God, enough is enough. And it just hit me that we didn't have a title for the album, and it sounded very appropriate. I was really anxious to get the record out because it had been a long time.
Well, this was actually just a segment to sort of say hello to you, because we want to talk we want you to get yourself acclimated to the studio once again. So we'll be back to talk with you more about that and about whatever you want to talk about. Hairdos, if you'd like to. First, this word from Panasonic, Billy Squier. Will stay with us.
Experience Panasonic VHS Hi-Fi. From videotapes or stereo TV, sound so rich, so vibrant. Anything less pales in comparison.
Hello?
Video recorders with hi-fi sound. Another Panasonic experience just slightly ahead of our time.
معاك الحين الخلط توري أنا بقول عم المغرب Jack Waller of Australia I'm Janari
What is you reading?
Marika
Hors d'oeuvre, Mr. Reginald? No thanks. I've got the fever. The fever for the flavor of Pringles.
It's that deep fried taste, that perfect crunch. We've got the fever for the flavor of Pringles. It's that tempting chip we love to munch.
Pass the Pringles, please. I need a bunch.
We've got the fever for the flavor of Pringles.
Rock and roll! Inside heavy metal. The fans. Power metal. It's fast. Religious. The controversy.
People used to say that I was evil because I listened to this music.
The pound and the fury of the music. MTV explodes all week long with a special series, loud and fast, inside heavy metal. The whole story, for those who love it, hate it, or just don't understand it. All this week, reports twice an hour, 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. to 9 p.m. Central, on MTV Music Television.
Chill, baby.
Back with us again. Thanks for joining us, Billy Squier. Certainly happy that you chose to do that. Enough is Enough is a new album from Billy Squier. That's a great cover, by the way. How long did it take you to do that photograph?
That was probably the simplest thing that we did in the whole record. That was shot in one session.
That is
not that it's a particularly complicated photograph, but I mean, I only did one session for the album, and it actually wasn't. The shoot was a test shoot with a photographer who wanted to shoot me, and so we didn't even know that anything would be usable. And we took the front cover and the back cover.
There you go.
So that was easy. That was nice. Yeah.
Those moments that are more spontaneous are usually the best, I suppose. The last 3 albums that you've had have been platinum. They've sold a bunch. And this one took a while to get out. I mean, was there a pressure thing at all to make this one particularly good and have another platinum LP?
Well, I mean, I personally don't think you can ever get enough precious metal, but really the pressure for me was more internal, that it's important for me to maintain a certain continuity and consistency in my work, which I know sounds terribly serious, but it's true. You know, the songs are very important to me, and recordings are important to me. I'm really kind of an audiophile in that sense, and I enjoy trying to take each record a step further. So that's the pressure really for me, is to try to create and get something which ultimately I get off on.
You've worked faster, I suppose, on other albums. What were the reasons for, the delay, if that's the word?
There weren't really delays. There was a different production technique which was used in this record, due to a new producer which I used, named Peter Collins, and he's
worked in the past with.
He worked with, most recently with Rush. He did the last Rush album. I believe he's doing the new Rush album. But he has a very different style of working than I do. He's, if you can believe it, much more meticulous than I am, and very labored in his studio technique. So, in an effort really to create some sort of hybrid between my style and his, which I think is the only fair thing to do when you're working in collaboration with somebody, we did a lot of experimenting, used a lot of his techniques, some of mine, but it actually, in a sense, took almost twice as long, I think, because of that, because we were, in a sense, making the same record twice at some points in the game, which, in retrospect, sounds completely ridiculous.
That doesn't matter if you understand it or
well,
not.
I mean, ultimately, I think the most important thing is to get what you want in the end, which I did. So, there's no real problem in the end, but it does seem a little bit strange when you're in the middle of it. You're living with these songs for 6 months, and I mean, fortunately, I still like them, which I think is a great sign when you can still be slogging around the studio after all that time, and it comes on and you still like it.
That's a good thing. You work with Freddie Mercury.
Yes.
Is he a newfound friend or what?
He's actually he's an old acquaintance who I've known since the early days of Queen. I met the whole band on their first tour of the States, and have struck up a friendship of sorts with various members of the group throughout that time. And Brian was going to produce my first album. Actually, that was what we originally wanted to do.
The name of the song is "Lady with the Tenor Sax."
Yes.
Is that the name of the tune?
Yeah, and that was actually something which he came up with. I was at his house and I brought him some of the songs, which at this point, by the time I got to London to record, we were about 4 months in. So a lot of us had been pretty much committed, and I had just really gone to see Freddie socially. Although in the back of my mind, I had this little idea that I might, if I could, hook him on something, it would be great to have him, because he's really incredibly creative. And very spontaneous, as we were mentioning before. So this was something which I sort of had in the back of my mind.
Yeah, and it seemed to have worked out.
But the song Tenor Sax didn't have that title. It had a different title. It had different lyrics, and he heard it, and he just got this whole other idea on the spot. We were in his house. It was like 5 o'clock in the morning or something, and he goes, "Wait." He's playing it, and he goes, "Wait, what about this?" And he just blurts out "Lady with a Tenor Sax," and I sort of looked at him. I said, "Well, I don't know what this means." I said, "I'm going to have trouble writing this because I don't know what it means." But we got it together. We went in the studio, and he would sing it once, and I'd sing it once. We just made up things as we went along, really, and kind of wrote the song in the studio over the existing music.
We got your video coming up, but first, this is, I think, one of your favorite bands since music began.
At this point, at this moment, absolutely.
So we'll do Wang Chung right here, and then we'll do Billy Squier's latest song right after that.
Under a thousand lights, you face a long
video from Billy Squier, Love is the Hero, off the album Enough is Enough. Now, I assume you like the work that went into that video, but Rock Me Tonight was a video that you were somewhat dissatisfied with. Is that true?
Well, I think that in the end it possibly created a false impression of what the band was about, because what we tried to do so much before him was present sort of a documentary performance video, whether it was Everybody Wants You or the earlier stuff. It was really, I'm a believer in showing the band in performance. I think that ultimately I want a video to show the audience what the band is about, and let the music be what it is. You know, I'm not really a conceptualist. So I think in that way, we were in a period where we'd done a lot of these and got this idea of, oh, maybe we should do something different. You know, maybe, you know, just to experiment a little bit. And I think in that way, I don't think that it was ultimately as satisfying as just having the band do what we do best.
Mm-hmm. Does that mean you took more control, like say in this video, and you plan to take more control?
Yeah, definitely. There was. Well, I don't know if I'm going to become a video director per se, because there's certainly people.
I think there's good money in it. I'm not sure. All the video directors now are going, yeah, sure.
Yeah, if you want to do one a week, you know, do 40 clips a year. See how fast you burn out there.
You have to work. You can't let your beard grow as much.
Yeah. No, I think it isn't so much as I don't think I'll become a director. There's certainly good directors out there, but I think that it's important to understand, you know, what it is you do, and then perhaps not be swayed by other people. Try to stand to that. When we've gone back to doing, you know, performance videos and trying to make them interesting. And I feel more comfortable doing that myself. I think that's, as I said, that's what we do best. I think we're musicians first, and we try to maintain that balance.
Sure. Speaking of performance, what are the tour plans? I know you've been on the road a little bit now.
Well, I've just been on the road doing a real solo tour, kind of, literally just going around with the record, because we're not going out until January.
January. So, is it major? Is it a couple of weeks? Is it here?
We certainly hope it will be major.
You never.
We haven't done anything in a small way in a long time, so we're kind of used to.
But you're going to be here in the U.S. first in January.
I would think so. Yeah. I mean, that's, you know, this is where it's happening for us.
And Halloween is not far away. You're going to be dressing up. Is there anything special? You got any great costumes?
You got that horse's suit from last year? I want to be in the front.
I think we just have the back part, though. That's the only problem. We don't have the whole costume. Well, Billy Squier, if you'd like to hang out, please do. We have the new video hour is coming up next.
So we don't want to miss that.
No, we don't, because your video might be in this program, because it's new.
Again?
No, again. But we did show it last week, I think. But maybe we'll show it again. So help yourself to the fine bagels that are a bit stale by now if you want to. Billy Squier in the studio with us. May have a bagel if you'd like to see him eat it maybe later on. Maybe he will. The Pet Shop Boys are coming up. Also Howard Jones in the new video hour within 10 minutes, okay? So I'll see you.
No one really knows how your skin got sensitive. But if it is, try the shave cream with more advanced lubricants than any other. New Gillette Foamy for sensitive skin.
Baby Ruth, put a finger, tear into them, just take a bite, get the taste, that feels so right. Baby Ruth, put a finger, tear into them, which do you choose? Both so great, you just can't.
Chewy, nutty Baby Ruth, crispy, crunchy, peanut buttery Butterfinger with their great rich taste.
Tear into them now, Nabisco.
Time when so much music is just so much noise, Bruce Hornsby stands apart.
That's just the way it is. Some things will never change. Oh, but don't you believe?
Bruce Hornsby and the Range. Their breakthrough album tells it the way it is on RCA Records, cassettes, and compact discs.
That's just the way it is. That's just the way it is.
I'm in a bar, and there she is, so I go for it. She's drinking Sun Country wine cooler. Hey, I see you're drinking the refreshing Real Juice cooler. She ignores me, so I try the line about how everyone loves the premium white wine and real fruit juice in Sun Country. Then I make my big move and order my own Sun Country. Then she makes her big move. She leaves. Sun Country, say, give me the Real Juice cooler. It's the last time I wear a bear suit to a singles bar.
Tina Turner here on location in Europe. It's nice here. I mean, the food is good and all, you know, but I need some Americans to party with.
Want to fly with the queen of rock and roll? Enter MTV's If This Is Tina, It Must Be Europe contest, and you'll fly to Europe to see Tina Turner. We'll fly 5 winners and their guests to Hamburg, Germany to see the debut concert of Tina's Break Every Rule World Tour, months before the rest of America does. And because one night with Tina isn't enough,
Why don't you climb aboard my little party jet?
take off with Tina on her exclusive private jet. Hang with Tina, dance on the seats, throw stuff out the window. We don't care. It's Europe. You'll land in Stockholm, Sweden, fresh in time for your second Tina concert in a row. And that ain't all. You and your guests will get outfits from the Sunset Blues collection, the happening new game Laser Tag, tour jackets from Starburst Fruit Shoes, and Tina's best-selling autobiography, I, Tina.
Oh, I love adventure stories.
You like Tina? You like Europe? You like Swedes? Send your name, address, and phone number to If This Is Tina, P.O. Box 899, Radio City Station, New York, New York, 10101.
You, me, and a bunch of Europeans. Let's party!
Don't say
Let's go, guys. Let's go. I can't explain why, but it's incredibly easy. I feel I have the best band I've ever had. I've always had great bands. This is, to me, significantly better than the bands I've had in the past.
Well, who's in the band exactly?
Well, I have two of my old favorites, Alan St. John, who's been with me since Don't Say No on keyboards, and Mark Clark on bass. And I have two new guys, a guitar player named Steve Conti, who plays in a great band in New York called Crown Jewels, which is just fighting this terrible music business commerce thing where they can't get signed. The guy's a great songwriter. I'm just a fantastic man, you know. So I coerced him, you know, to come out for a couple months and play. And I have an Israeli fellow named Nir Z playing drums, who's the only drummer who I've heard who could fill Bobby's shoes.
Yeah, well, Bobby was great.
And then some. So, I mean, it's just worked out. It's really kind of, you know, a dream come true. I mean, I just said it's been so effortless.
and sing. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Right through that lonely is the night. 1, 2, 3, 4. You're back up on the E. Let's just try that. It's just me and you. Okay, so we're going to start singing. Stand up. 3, 4.
Teach about tonight. The moon is on the prowl. Get the time tonight. The boys are set to howl. Lonely is the night.
She goes back.
We boys are ready for the fight.
Yeah, right in the middle. Because it's dangerous. Danger out the night. You're singing.
Moon's on the prowl. Get the dynamite. The boys are set to howl. Lonely is the night. When we hear voices call.
Chrissy here from PopCultureMadness.com with Billy Squier. Thank you so much for joining me. So, you're here at Voodoo in New Orleans. What can we be expecting tonight?
Well, you certainly won't be anything that most of my fans would normally expect. No, I'm trying to, I don't know if I would say try to reinvent myself, but I try to find ways to keep myself kind of current with what my image and my place is in the music world. And so what I'm doing now is trying to focus a lot of the attention on the songs that I've written without being a overly sensitive singer-songwriter, on a stool, singing these very subtle, sensitive songs. So what I'm doing is basically I'm coming out kind of the same way as I normally would, but without my band. So it focuses on the songs more. There's not as much craziness going on around it, but it's still, I started getting into music to plug a guitar into an amplifier, and that's still what gets me off. So I'm still doing that, and I'm still playing. In my attitude, I want that to be intact. But this is a way that I feel kind of is a good look at who I really am. I am a singer-songwriter, guitar player, and the days, I think, also the heydays of the band, that's sort of past. It doesn't mean that I'll never play with my band again, but that was a very special time, and I think, I wouldn't like to feel like I would try to go back and recapture that. And this is the way that I can sort of, again, be in touch with it and pay tribute to where I come from, but also be me as I feel now. I'm pretty comfortable doing this, walking out on a stage just and saying, "Hey, this is it. This is this is the guy that you have whose music you've been hearing all this time."
I was going to ask if that leaves you open maybe to a sort of vulnerability, almost like being out there.
Or maybe I've had a lot of people when I tell them I'm doing it say, "Well, that's pretty brave."
Yeah, no, it is.
And I say, "Well, it's pretty brave, maybe pretty stupid. It's maybe both, But I looked at it as a challenge, which is another thing that I like to have when I play. I want to have a challenge. I want to have something that I haven't done before, and it's definitely hard. The band is a big support system. I think Keith Richards once said it was a big mattress, and I don't have the mattress. So, yeah, I'm very vulnerable and I'm very open, but there's a sort of power in that too. Once you make the step and once you put yourself out and you do it, it's cool. And again, I love playing with bands. Don't get me wrong. I haven't turned away from that. Yeah. But this is something that I can do without having to be working all the time. Another thing which happens is if you have a band out, doing things the way we do it, there are a lot of people involved with it. And if you want to keep these people with you, have good people, you want to keep them, you have to work. And I don't want to work, not like that. I don't want to be on the road 6-8 months a year. I'm not interested. So that diminishes my abilities somewhat to just go out with the band. This is something I can do. Give me a week's notice, so I can make sure I got a little, on my fingers or whatever. And I can do it. So I actually was trying to create a little bit of an opportunity and some flexibility for me to be able to play a little more when there isn't a tour on.
I was going to say, it's got to make things a little bit easier. So like you were saying, you can kind of up and go a lot easier without a big production and, coordinating everyone's schedules and all that.
Yeah, no, it's true. But it's funny. It still ends up feeling just like a tour. I mean, all the same things go on around one or two events like this as they do when you're on the road. The same things go wrong. People have requests. It's the insanity of that.
You've played Jazz Fest before, but this is your first time at Voodoo, right?
Yeah, I actually met the promoter, Steve Rahaj, when I played Jazz Fest, and that's kind of where this came from.
Oh, that's awesome. Is there any artists that you're looking forward to seeing?
Mac.
What was that?
Mac. Tomorrow.
Oh, okay, cool.
the doctor.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So are you going to have some time to spend in New Orleans, or do you have to head out?
I'm going to spend a little time. I'm doing some work with a local artist here, so I'm going to spend some time with him and his band on Monday, maybe Tuesday. And we're around. We're in town like 5 days or so.
Oh, well, that's good. That's plenty of time to like get around and see all the sights and everything.
Well, no, I lay pretty low before when I come in to do a show. I tend to take these things maybe a little bit too seriously, but I'm here to play, and so the last 2 days we've just been kind of laying low and doing things that I needed to do in conjunction with this. But no late nights and no, and I'm not closing any bars down. Oh, that may change tonight, after I'm done. But, before, up to showtime, it's pretty much business, I don't like to use that term, but I want to be good. People come to see me. I want them to go away happy.
Absolutely. So I've been asking this question to a lot of artists, and I look at music as a universal language on a personal level, and it invokes an emotion in people. When did music begin speaking to you first?
Well, when I was pretty young, I mean, not in a very, very wee age, but in my early teens, I was getting affected. The thing that really turned me was, the British invasion, the Beatles and the Stones, and then the Eric Clapton, well, actually the Blues Breakers record with Eric Clapton, which came out not in this country, but I was able to get it as an import. It was 1966, and that was what firmly set me on my path. When I really knew this is what my world was going to be about.
So I'm sure you've witnessed many, many changes within the industry. And, how do you feel about the current state and the uprise of social media and the way that artists are promoting now and fans are learning about music? I think some of the shroud of mystery has been lifted, but at the same time, it does open new avenues.
I think that there's always many sides to these technological changes, advances, whatever. I'm not a big fan of social media. I grew up in a place where stars were stars. I mean, my heroes. And I don't think I really wanted to know when Jimmy Page was at the supermarket, or Mick Jagger was getting his hair cut or something, So I'm not a big fan, but I also understand, particularly if your band's trying to make it, for instance. I mean, look, it opens up spaces for you to communicate. So I understand why it works. I'm glad that I don't feel the need to make it work. I mean, I don't even have a cell phone on me. Cell phone for me is an emergency. Or it's like if I'm in a city and I need to find something, I can go, push that little around me button and I can find Starbucks or something. I like that stuff, but I don't want to be in touch that much. I'm a person. I'm a private person, and when I come out to play, I'm a public person. But I don't want to expose myself to that. And I don't want people having access to me like that. But it's not because I don't like having fans. I mean, look, without fans, I'm not sitting here, and so they mean a lot to me, and I never turn away from a fan who has a request from me or something. I'm there for that one-on-one, but the social media thing to me is not of interest.
Absolutely. I think it can get a little bit oversaturated sometimes, and there's so much going on, it's so hard to keep it.
You spend more time doing that than what you're supposed to be doing. I mean, if you're using your fingers like this, what about
Oh, yeah.
And I think Jimmy Page did the same. I think Jimmy, he didn't tell me directly, but I think somebody told me that he said, they asked him something, can we email you? And he says, I don't have email. He said, how could I be, if I were on, he said, if I'd email, I would never get anything done.
Exactly. You'd be on it all day long. So what can you share with us about what you're currently working on these days?
I'm not working on anything. I'm working on my garden, and I have a big chunk of Central Park where we live in New York.
So you're with a conservatory with that, right?
Central Park Conservancy, which is a fantastic organization, private organization that takes care of the whole park. And I really like that. Again, it's kind of exactly the polar opposite of the social media thing. I am operating much more when I can at the pace of nature as opposed to the speed of man. I like being away from people. I like feeling the way the world really moves, because what we're doing here, this is what we create. This isn't reality for most of the world. You know, the world will exist without us, and that's reality. And the organisms and things which exist will be there without us. They wouldn't have this. This is what we manufacture a reality. Look, I'm a human being. I'm not going to try to tear that down, and I accept it. But I'm not into it that much, and it doesn't mean I want to be a hermit and never talk to anybody. But I tend to lean. My balance has shifted more away from social interaction. I get enough of it, and I think because of what I do that it draws me into public situations and things. So I get enough of it, but I try to spend more of my time, you know, more like I would say solitude. And like I said, the pace of the real world. I kind of learn a lot from that, from the absence of noise. You know, there's so much noise coming at us all the time. Visual noise, audio, you know. That's.
Have you always?
It's not really necessary.
Have you always been like that, or did that kind of, you know, did you finally decide that, like, you?
No, I think. Well, I mean, I've never been a media hound.
Yeah.
I think I've always been a fairly, somewhat private, introverted, or introspective person, but I have felt it more as these trends have started to take hold. That I found myself not so much resisting, but just not being interested, just going, I don't need this, and then I realized, wow, I'm really different than most of the people who are out there. That I'm kind of walking another path, but it wasn't something I sat down and thought about. I think most of these changes that happen to us are over time. You know, they're evolving. You don't just make a change. Change is very hard.
No.
So they occur, and you might feel a rhythm changing in yourself, and that's what happens.
From a sociological standpoint, it's always over time that things like that tend to happen. So, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people have been asking you now about the use of Eminem's sample and all of that, and like, I'll be that girl again. But how is, you know, obviously it should be kind of an honor, I guess. You know?
Are you kidding? It's just fantastic. That's the greatest use of my material. I'm not saying the best song ever done. I mean, you know, what Rick did with Jay-Z was fantastic, but it's the most complete. I mean, the stroke is all over that. You know, it's drums, it's guitar, it's my voice. It's a huge honor that they would relate to what I did back then and want to bring it up to speed now. And they did a really great job with it. I dig it. I'm not like the biggest hip hop fan. I mean, I like the stuff I like, but you know, I'm not blasting it all the time, and I don't really keep up with it. It's like my parents would say, I can't understand the words, you know. But no, they did a fantastic job with it. I'm very happy with it.
Absolutely. No, I think they did a brilliant job with it, and I was just very curious on what your take was. Like,
you know, I'm basically, you know, it means a lot to me that these artists, whether it's Jay or him or Alicia, or there's just so many people, have kind of, in one way or another, cottoned on to my.
There's a boy, didn't he? You had a few big hits if you were a young guitar player. Most folks didn't get to hear that record. Yeah, do the whole record. Next time.
Yeah.
Now, Billy, let me ask you something, man. Here we go. Do you know, like, when did that record come out? Do you know what year? 66. 66. Somebody else. We got double validation. So, I mean, we were just kids, you know. 66, I was 14.
You were younger than me.
Yeah. I don't know about that. Usually you always got in the room. And always was.
Everybody got enough to drink? Were you going somewhere with that?
I was, kind of, but it don't matter, man. You know.
You're gonna make me carry this whole thing. This whole thing is his idea, by the way.
No, wait, no.
This is, I'm along for the ride. He came up on that. If you like it, he's the man. If you got complaints, he's the man.
It was not. Hold on, that was not my idea. It was my wife, Taylor Barton's idea. Oh, she's here somewhere too. She's here, so you want to complain to her. But no, what I was going to say is, so like, we were kids, you know, we got these records. How old were you when you first got a guitar? First laid hands on one?
Well, I'd play a guitar about 13, but before I had a ukulele.
Could the rest of the students please that know the answers please not call out? I'm trying to walk up here. So, William, how old were you when you got that first guitar?
I was 13.
13. Okay.
And it was a prize, which I didn't know it then. It was a Dan Electro, you know, the lipstick pickup Dan Electro thing.
You got a Dan Electro first?
First, we had $90 with a Supro amp.
Cool. You started out with good gear.
Yeah, but I didn't know it. Which is a guy down the street had one and didn't want to play anymore, so here I was.
Cool.
You know that story.
Yeah. Very cool. All right, let's press on.
Okay. Well, we talked a bit tonight already about Eric and John Mayall and the Blues Breakers and all that. And the Blues Breakers really launched Eric. In England, they were signs on the subway stations that said Clapton is God. I mean, he became a total phenomenon. And I tell you this because it's a funny story for me. When I introduced my wife to Eric many, many, many years later, she knew who he was, but she didn't know about that period. So we're standing there, and I say, you know, Eric did this record back in the '60s for the Blues Breakers, and it really changed my life. And Eric is standing like here, my wife's here, and Eric is just like looking around and saying, "That changed mine too." And you knew it's completely true. I mean, it was absolutely true. But the reason I say that is because, you know, some of us, if we're lucky, we do have records that we make that change our lives. And obviously, I got one of those. And that was Don't Say No. So, following in the conversation, I think we'll do something from Don't Say No.
Let's do one of those.
everybody, Smart Close, KC95. Welcome to Rocktober. And today's artist, Billy Squier. Born 1950 on the East Coast, got a start with a band called Piper that caught the attention of Kiss. So Piper actually opened for a couple of tours with Kiss. Then Billy went solo, did very, very well. A lot of great hits. In fact, The Stroke, one of his biggest, the record label didn't even want to put that song on the album, put it on their big hit for him. He married a German soccer player, still out doing his thing. Billy Squier, the Rocktober Artist of the Day.
And your mind is not your own. Lonely is the night when there's no one left to call. You feel the time is right. Say the writing's on the wall. Yeah. It's a hard time to fight when the walls are closing in. You like. It's time you got to win. Lonely, lonely, lonely. Your spirit's sinking down. You find you're not the only stranger in this town. Red lights, green lights, stop and go jive. Headlines, deadlines, jamming your mind. You've been stealing shot from the side. Let your feelings go for There's danger out tonight. The man